Orientation for the Philosophy 100 Distance Learning course. Today I'm going to talk you through some of the things that you're going to need to know to do well in this course, and I'm going to tell you about the assignments that we're going to be doing in this course, both the weekly assignments, the exams, and the paper later on in the course. And I'm going to be telling you about how we're going to proceed and what we're going to be doing week in and week out, how I'm going to interact with you and how you're going to interact with me. And I'm going to tell you about also all of the things that will be a part of this course, all of the material that is in this course and where I have put the various parts that go together to make up this course. You're also going to have to do other things as well, such as registering with Turnitin, and this must be done straight away in the first week of class. So I'm going to tell you everything you need to know to be able to do that. I'm going to tell you where to find the information. So after you've gone through this orientation, you should be perfectly well prepared to start on the material when we actually get into gear with the philosophical material for next week's class. So there's a lot of preparatory things to do. There's a lot for us to get through this week. If you forget anything, if you miss anything first time around, then you can watch this presentation again. In fact, at any time when you're watching this presentation, if you hit the back button at the bottom of the presentation screen, or if you hit the pause button, you'll be able to stop, you'll be able to go back or pause this presentation. And if there's anything you miss, if there's anything you need to see again that you don't catch the first time, just stop it, go back, and you'll be able to watch it again. And that'll be the case with all of the lecture presentations that we'll have in this course, that you'll have the control over how you watch them, how many times you watch them, and how quickly or slowly you absorb the material. Right, so if we're ready to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know to do well and to do the assignments in this course. And we're going to get started by looking at the weekly material. Alright, so let's talk in a little more depth about what you're going to learn in this course, what we're going to be looking at specifically in this Philosophy 100 Introduction course. What we're going to do is really, it's going to be an introduction to some of the major thinkers and the major themes in the philosophical tradition. Philosophy, at least in the Western tradition, going back 2,500 years to the ancient Greeks, Plato and Socrates, are seen as being foremost among the originators of the philosophical tradition. So we're going to spend some time looking at them first of all. And I'm going to take you through the history of philosophy in a theme-based kind of way. Obviously, we're just going to get to touch on some of the things rather than, it's not going to be a comprehensive introduction. There's simply too much material in 2,500 years of history, of course, but we can at least get a sense of what some of the themes and the important themes and concerns have been in the tradition, looking at things like epistemology, which is the theory of knowledge, how do we know things, looking at the philosophy of religion, which asks critical questions about religion, about what kind of thing religious belief is and what are the various attitudes one can take towards religious belief and its possible justification and its relation to rational arguments. And we're going to take a look at political philosophy as well. So a lot to get through. This is Socrates, who is really, one of the major figures in the history of philosophy. And we're going to start off by looking at Socrates as given to us through his disciple Plato. Socrates, of course, doesn't write anything down, so all that we know about Socrates comes from Plato. And Descartes is very well known in the area of epistemology, particularly, and also metaphysics. We're going to take a look at his account of mind-body dualism, as this is given in the in Descartes' meditations. And we're also going to take a look at him in the context of epistemology. Descartes is well known as foremost among the rationalist thinkers. And later in the course, we're going to take a look at Karl Marx in relation to political philosophy, and we're trying to get a sense of his theory of justice, and we'll put that in relation to other accounts of justice or other accounts of social and especially political life, most notably John Stuart Mill. Alright, so let's think about the important skills that we will learn and try to develop in this course. Most of the time we're going to be focused on analytical abilities and critical thinking skills. And I think if you were to ask what are the things that you can really learn in philosophy, what does philosophy equip you to do in terms of key transferable skills that are useful in any endeavor, in anything you do whatsoever, I would say these are the two most important. Analytical abilities, because reading is and trying to come to terms with how a text is structured is vitally important in philosophy, and philosophy attunes us to the nuances of how to read, of how to dissect an argument, of how to dissect the way that a text works. And that's crucial to analytical ability, the ability to pick a text apart and look at how the parts function to produce an overall argument. So analytical ability, you'll find when you read philosophy, that is a really crucial thing that you will draw upon and that you'll develop the more philosophy that you read. And the second, critical thinking skills. Critical thinking is the capacity to approach, at its root, I think it's the capacity to approach what you read in a critical frame of mind. That's not in the simplistic way of simply disagreeing with everything, but of knowing where to find the weak points of an argument, a position, a thesis, or an essay, a paper, or a book that you're reading. That's what critical thinking is all about, is knowing how to hone in on the points that aren't successful, that don't manage to achieve what they perhaps set out to achieve, of knowing when to ask the right kind of questions of a text, of knowing what can be interrogated. All of that is critical thinking skills, and the more philosophy you do, again, it attunes you to that ability to think critically about what you're reading. And those skills, it doesn't matter what you're reading, they're vitally important skills. And in philosophy, we're trying to develop those skills specifically, to develop the ability to think analytically, to break down, that means to break down a text, and to find out how the parts work, how an argument works, and critical thinking to bring the right kind of critical questions to bear on the text that you're reading. Alright, so let's get into the nitty-gritty of the course. The syllabus is available from the menu in Blackboard. Once you log into Blackboard, you'll see there's a button on the left-hand side that will link to the syllabus. In the syllabus, you'll find a course description. You'll find more information on the various assignments, the papers, and what everything else that you'll be expected to do in the course. There's a short audio and a short video as well, which you may want to watch when you get the chance. Just really introductory things about the course. And there is also a course outline that takes you through what you will be expected to do week by week. So it has the information on the exams, which weeks the exams are due, and it has the information on when the paper is due, which is week 11, and it has the weekly assignments, which are almost always, as we'll talk about now in more depth, discussion board, blog, and quiz. So let's start by talking about the week-by-week basis of the class. If you've done a distance learning course before, you may be familiar with this. A lot of them, not all of them, but most of them will work on a week-by-week basis. If this is your first distance learning class, then listen carefully. The class is organized on a weekly basis. So there are things that you will be expected to log in and do every single week. So it's most important, it's vitally important that you set aside a number of times during the week where you can log in, get information, or do the tasks. And I would suggest that you log in once very early in the week, you log in once midweek, and this is at the very least, and that you log in once at the end of the week. And that is because you're going to have to log in early to get the assignments, to figure out what you need to do for the week. You're going to have to log in to complete the assignments. And then you're going to, especially with the discussion board where you have to do a post and then a response, you're going to have to set aside a number of times to log in each week. Now, the way to think about this, and I think the key to success for everybody here, is to set aside specific times during the week when you're going to log in and log in at exactly the same times every week as far as you can. You know, it's not always going to be possible, but as far as you can, set aside a time when you know you're going to be somewhere where you can log into your computer, get online, and spend a couple of hours doing some work. And the more you can have specific times that you set aside to do this class, you'll find you won't get behind, you won't leave things till the last minute, and you'll find you'll be much more efficient about doing the tasks. The week itself runs from 12 a.m. Monday, that's the beginning of the day Monday, to 12 a.m. the next Monday. So that means that you will be expected to do everything within that time frame, from the beginning of the day on Monday to the very beginning, midnight, the next Monday. So the week runs from 12 a.m. Monday to 12 a.m. the next Monday. All of the tasks to be done must be done within that time frame for that particular week. So what are the tasks? Every week, almost every week, virtually every week, you'll do a blog post, you'll do a quiz, and you'll do 2 discussion board posts. Now, when I say 2 discussion board posts, one is a post to a question which I'll give you, and the other one is a response to one of your classmates. And that's the minimum that you'll be expected to do on the discussion board. The blogs and quizzes. Any blogs and quizzes not completed by 12 a.m. Monday, and remember that's the beginning of the day Monday, you must, any blogs not completed by that time, you will be late. You cannot complete them at a later time. So you'll have missed those assignments. The discussion board post must be completed a day earlier than the end of the week. The discussion board post must be completed by 12 a.m. on Sunday. And then you must do a response by the end of the week, which is 12 a.m. on Monday, or the end of the day on Sunday. Okay, so you have to do the discussion board post by the end of the day on Saturday or 12 a.m. Sunday. You have to do your response post by the end of the day Sunday, 12 a.m. Monday. Those assignments, again, like the blog and the quiz, cannot be completed at a later time. So every week you've got a blog, you've got a quiz, and you've got a discussion board post, to which I'm going to give you the question and a discussion board response. The only times when you won't have those will be when we do the midterm exam and when we do the final exam later in the course. Now, there's an announcement in Blackboard which I've posted already, which tells you exactly when week 1 begins. The end of the week, remember, is always 12 a.m. on Monday, so week 1 is going to begin at 12 a.m. on a Monday. If you log into Blackboard, read the announcement, and you'll see exactly when week 1 begins. Once you know that, you'll know exactly what you have to do for week 1, and that's what I want to talk about. Alright, so here's what you have to do before the end of week 1. These are the tasks for this week. You have to register with, I'm sorry, these are the tasks before the beginning of week 1. So this all has to be done right away. First, you have to register with Turnitin. And the information, I'll talk about that in a second, is in course information. Next, you have to create your blogs on blogger.com and write an introductory post. If you've never created a blog before, the instructions are in course information. Again, more on that in a second. Third, you have to go to the discussion board forum, which is titled blogs, and paste your blog URL once you've created your blog. And it will look something like this: http://myblog.blogspot.com. Make sure you post the full URL of your blog. And fourth, you have to introduce yourself in the discussion board forum titled Introduce Yourself. And fifth and finally, you have to complete the extra credit quiz, which is basically, it's just a quiz on the layout of Blackboard. So if you go into Blackboard and you sort of look at how everything's organized, you'll see, then you can complete the quiz. So take a look around the assignments, find out where the lecture presentations are, find out where the blog questions are, and all of that stuff, and then you can complete the extra credit quiz once you've been through all that. All right, so let's go through these things one by one. It's very important that you register with Turnitin straight away, because when I email the class, I register from your Turnitin account. And the advantage to you here is that you can register when you register with Turnitin. You'll give an email address, and you can use any email address that you prefer. You don't have to use your BMCC email address. So if you check a private email address, whether it's Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever, if you use that all the time, you can use that as your email address when you register with Turnitin. Then when you receive emails from me, they'll go straight to your private account. Now, to register with Turnitin, you're going to need two things. You're going to need a course ID and a class enrollment password. Both of these things are in the Turnitin instructions. The Turnitin instructions are in the course information folder on Blackboard. So if you log into Blackboard, click on the button on the left-hand side that says Course Information. You'll see a folder saying Turnitin Instructions, or it might just say Turnitin. Click on that folder and you'll see the course ID and the class enrollment password. Write these two down, because you're going to go, after you've got them, you're going to go to Turnitin.com. And again, the link is in those instructions. Go to Turnitin.com and register with Turnitin. And you'll put in the class ID, the course ID and the class enrollment password. You'll create an account, and when you've done that, you'll be able to you'll be registered with Turnitin. When you submit your papers, the formal paper for the class in week 11, you're going to submit those papers to Turnitin. So we are going to be using it in the course. I'm going to use it for your papers, and you'll pick up your papers and you'll submit them from Turnitin. So register right away. Remember, write down your username and your password, and then come week 11, you'll go to Turnitin to hand in your papers. And like I said, I email everybody from Turnitin, so register right away. Don't wait till later in the course to do it. Second thing you have to do is you'll create your blogs on blogger.com, and here you're going to go to www.blogger.com. The instructions, the specific instructions for creating a blog are in course information again on Blackboard. There's a folder called Create Your Blogs, and you'll find more information on creating a blog on blogger.com. If you haven't created a blog before, it's actually very straightforward. Again, you'll just create a username and a password. And once you've created it, then you'll go back to the blog, log in, and you can post. Just be aware we're using blogger.com. Be aware that this is a public site, which means that anything that you post on your blog can be seen potentially by anybody in the blogosphere, anybody who's online. So don't put any personal information. Don't put your credit card numbers on there and your social security number. Don't put that kind of stuff. you know, that's common sense. It goes without saying, but a nice thing to do, and what I think is really nice for everybody to do this is if you is if you upload a picture and you just talk about yourself a little bit, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the blogs together in a folder where everybody in the class can see everybody else's blogs. So it's it's a nice way for us to know, to have a sense of who we are in this distance learning environment. If you can personalize your blogs a little bit, again, don't put anything that you wouldn't want out there in public, but a photo and a little bit of biography is always nice, and it's nice for your classmates and for me to see a little bit about who you are. And thirdly, write an introductory post saying something about yourself and what you hope to learn in a philosophy class. That is, do this on your blog. So once you've created it, just create what I call a dummy post. In other words, just create a post and say, hi, I'm in a philosophy class. This is what I'm hoping to learn something about the nature of religion, or I'm hoping to learn something about Plato, or I've always been interested in whatever, or just say something introducing yourself. But just do a dummy post so that you know how the blog works. Now, it's very important. Some people sometimes go wrong where once they've created their blog, when they then go to post, they go right back to blogger.com and create another blog. That's not what you do. Okay, so make sure, and it's going to be impossible for me to see your work if you do that, because I only have access to one blog, and it's not going to work that way. So when you want to post, what you do is you go back to blogger.com and you log in with your username and password, and then you click on the blog that you've already created. And once you've done that, then you can post on that same blog. And just to make sure, once you've posted, open your blog and make sure that all your posts are on the same blog, so that when you view your blog, you can see all of the posts that you've done together. So only create one blog. Don't create additional blogs. Create one blog, and then when you post on that same blog, and make sure that all of your posts are showing up on the same blog. Alright, so thirdly, when you've written an introductory post, that is, copy and paste your blog URL on the discussion board in Blackboard in the forum titled Blogs. So when you open up your blog, just copy and paste the URL, and it'll begin http:// and it will end in .blogger.com. Paste the whole thing into the forum on Blackboard entitled Blogs. And that's all I need. I just need you to paste the URL, and then I will take it, and then I will put your blog with the rest of the class blogs in the blog folder on Blackboard, so that we can all see our blogs very easily. Everybody in the class can see everybody else's blog together on Blackboard. So your URL is going to look something like this. It'll begin http://. Then it will have the blog name that you've created, and you can give it any name you like. You might want to give it a name that's related to philosophy or thinking or whatever, but it's up to you. So it will have the first HTTP, it will have your blog name, the name you create, then it will end blogspot.com. Copy and paste the whole thing into the discussion board forum called Blogs. Copy and paste the whole thing, and then I can just copy it and put it together in the blog folder on Blackboard, where I can make all of our blogs accessible together with your name, so that we can all learn from each other's blog journals. Blog questions every week can be found in the blog folder in assignments. In fact, everything can be found in assignments: the quizzes, the discussion board, and the blogs. So to pick up what you need to do for the week, you go to the folder called assignments. The blog folder has all of the blog questions on a week-by-week basis. As regards the blog questions, they're really indications and sort of, that sort of push you to think about the weekly material. But the blog is really more of a sort of free assignment, and you can pick up and write about what you're interested in. You don't have to, you don't have to follow the question too closely. So think of the blog more like your personal journal. I'm giving you questions to sort of, give you some indication of what to think about, but, feel free to develop your own thinking, use examples, use free thinking, and just, whatever you're interested in, you can talk about on your blog. It's like your personal journal. All right, so fourthly, you're going to introduce yourself on the discussion board. And just say something so that, we can all start to get to know each other. Say something about yourself and your interests, whether you've done any classes before, what you're majoring in, what you're going to do after BMCC if you're, matriculated at BMCC, and where you are. Maybe you're in New York City, maybe you're elsewhere. So just introduce yourself, say a little bit about who you are, and we'll all start to get to know each other. And fifthly, complete the extra credit quiz. And this quiz is based on the layout of materials in Blackboard, like I said, and it's in assignments like the discussion board, like the blog. The quizzes will be in assignments in the quiz folder. So the extra credit quiz is based on the layout of materials in Blackboard. So all you got to do before you take the quiz, just familiarize yourself with the layout of Blackboard. Find out where the syllabus is, where all the quizzes are, find out where the lecture presentations are, and that sort of stuff, and you'll be in good shape. Now, this is very important, so let me take you through some of the rules for the discussion board posts. Like I said, your discussion board post is due by midnight on Sunday. That's one day before the end of the week, 12 a.m. Sunday. This post must be at least 100 words in length and must be a substantive response to the question. So remember, the question will be in assignments in the discussion board folder. So click on assignments, click on the discussion board folder, and you'll see the discussion board question for that week. When I say substantive response, I mean you must be engaging the material. It must be clear that you've read the material and that you are responding to it in a substantive, that is a real, a serious kind of way. I want to see that you've read it and that you're sort of struggling with the content. That's very important in a discussion board post. And I'm not really so much sort of testing your knowledge of sort of, information here. I'm more interested in seeing you struggle with the material. I'm more interested in seeing how you are trying to make sense of the material. So bear that in mind when you do the post. You're not claiming to know everything. You're not showing that you've sort of absorbed all of this information. What I'm interested in is seeing you struggle with the material. I want to see your thought process as you're trying to make sense of it. And the discussion board questions are sort of leading you towards that sort of wrestling, that struggling with the material. And you'll see philosophy is indeed a struggle. It's supposed to prompt us to think in a unique kind of way. It's supposed to really, test the boundaries of our thinking. That's what philosophy should be encouraging us to do, and I want to see you try to do that in this course. Alright, so remember, at least 100 words in length. There must be a substantive response to the question. Alright, so secondly, you have to write a response to one of your classmates' posts. And there's no word length requirement on the response, unlike your first post. However, what I want you to show is that you've read the post that you're responding to, and your comment must be more than simply saying "good point" or "I like that," or it must be more than an exclamation. You have to give reasons for what you say. So again, I'm not looking for any great length and sort of depth of analysis here, but I want you to show that you've read the post and that you're responding to it, giving some kind of reason for your response, giving some kind of justification for why you've responded like you did. You may do things like you may offer an example to illustrate what somebody has said. You may suggest an interpretation different from the one that in the post that you're responding to. You may be interested in some point that's made in the post, and you might want to pick up on that. So how you respond is up to you. But I want you to respond in a way that you in some way justify or give a reason for what you say, that you can articulate your grounds for responding in the way that you do. Responses are due at the end of the week before midnight or 12 a.m. on Monday. So there's a 24-hour gap between when your post is due, which is midnight on Sunday, and when the response is due, which is midnight on Monday. It'll be best if you can try to do your posts as early as possible in the week, and that'll be better for your classmates as well, because they will have more posts to respond to, and the class will work better the earlier you do your post. At the very latest, you do them by midnight on Sunday, but again, I'd urge everybody to do them earlier in the week if possible, to try and set a time, again, where you're going to do the post during the week, perhaps Tuesday, Wednesday, that you can set a bit of time to do it. Remember, you're going to have to log on to do the post and log on later to do the response. So, the post and response. Once you've done your post, you can do a response to somebody else's post. So both of those have to be done. The post by 12 a.m. Sunday, the response by 12 a.m. Monday. Now, in grading your discussion board contributions, the minimum you have to do, of course, is the post and the response. But I will take into account your general effort in expressing your ideas and responding to and encouraging your classmates to comment and express their ideas too. That is to say, if you go above and beyond and you're active encouraging others on the discussion board in commenting on what they say, if you put in a lot of time and effort making the discussion board an active place of engagement and conversation, rest assured that I'll reward you for that with your grade. And that's very important, I think, in an online class, as you'll know, if you've taken one, if this is your first one, you'll see that a lot of the success of the day-to-day sort of, on a weekly basis, the class is going to work if the discussion board is a lively place and people are engaged and posting. And you learn primarily by listening to what your classmates, or by reading what your classmates are saying. This is a format where you learn from other people as much as you learn from me. And I'll give you the lecture presentations weekly, and other things as well, other materials where I can. But you also learn from each other, and it's very important in a distance learning class, I think, that you take on the responsibility of helping each other to learn. So the more that you can do that, I'll reward you with the grade at the end of the course. Alright, finally, it just rests for me to say good luck, and if there's anything you need, contact me. Email is always best. It's rfoster@bmcc.cuny.edu. If you go to staff information on Blackboard, you'll find my email is there as well. Email is always the best venue. I almost always respond within 24 hours. If there's anything you need, let me know. So you have the assignments to do weekly. If you go to course documents, you'll see that there's the information that you need, the lecture presentations, any course readings or additional material is in course documents in the weekly folders. So you'll find all of that information, all of the sort of course material in course documents. The lecture presentations you'll open in Internet Explorer or in Mozilla Firefox, and they have sound, so open those, turn your speakers on, and it's a lecture presentation. They usually run about 45 minutes, so set aside some time where you can watch those, and they will help you. They'll be very useful, I hope, in helping you to assimilate the material. So good luck, and you can go and get started.